I'm really, really not happy about this inflation report.
Right.
But I don't like the trend, and I don't like that we're going to sit here and think that March is going to get worse.
Andy, how was Colorado?
Colorado was a lot of fun. Our friend Clint tried to kill me by taking me on like a 7 mile hike into the high desert. It was fun. I'll tell you this, hiking through like deep sand is the most awful thing I've ever done in my life. Like, I don't like that. But because I was with my wife and 11-year-old daughter, I was trying to like not complain. And you'd be proud of me. For like 6 miles, I did a good job of like you're putting on a brave face. But then like the last hour, like the last mile or so, I got into that point where I was like, hiking is stupid. Like, who even wanted to do? Like, I was mentally defeated. Like every uphill, and it was at like 7,000 feet roughly, so not too bad. But also the air is thinner, and yeah, I was
Totally.
it was fun. We got to go to some ancient Anasazi sites that are like off grid that like people aren't supposed to go to. So that was a lot of fun. Yeah.
People aren't supposed to go to?
No, but we went. So
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
So anyhow, that was my spring break. So we missed a lot. We haven't done a show in a week. So I was gonna try to cover the whole week, but we're not gonna do that now because there's too much that happens in the Trump era. Too much is happening every day. One thing we've been so focused on the war in Iran that I wanted to take a little bit of time and focus on a couple other things. One of which being Epstein. There hasn't been a lot of coverage of it, but there's been some Epstein developments recently. Have you seen anything about this?
I heard something about like the New Mexico ranch or something.
So they're getting warrants to like officially search the New Mexico ranch. Nothing's there anymore. I'm just going to tell you that.
Yeah.
But one of the things, I didn't pull anything on this, but apparently when the FBI originally raided Epstein's house in like 2019, they cracked open his safe forcefully, like they broke into his safe, and there was hard drives and some other jewelry and hard drives. And then they realized that there was a problem with the warrant they had. Like, it wouldn't cover the safe. So they had to leave everything there in the safe, and they left to go get a different warrant to where it would work. And by the time they got back, the hard drives were gone.
Yeah, I heard he hired a bunch of private eyes to like put them around the country or something.
So Epstein's lawyer admitted that he took them apparently at some point. And he basically said, what? Like, I'm his lawyer. I have the right. Basically, it's not illegal for the lawyer to take them at that point. Now, where are they? Nobody knows. So anyhow, so we all wondered what happened to all the video footage. You would think those might be on hard drives. That's gone. Secondly, Tom Barrack, I believe is how you say his name. He's Trump's ambassador to something. He's one of the billionaires that hung out with all of them in South Florida, like back in the day. He's actively in Trump's administration. He gave an interview where he might just be oblivious to what's going on, but he flat out said he was like, yeah, like back in the 80s when Epstein came on the scene, we all just assumed he was like it was some shady Israeli dealings. Like he was part of the Israeli government or Mossad. And like he was just saying it casually. And the reporters were clearly like, like their eyes went big and they were like, excuse me, like what? And then you could see when he realized he'd said too much and he tried to like walk away and end the interview. So those were interesting. The real interesting thing, Jane Doe number 4. This was the one right before we were bombing Iran. Several congressmen were saying, hey, there's pages missing. Like there's a whole complaint missing, and they could tell the way that the files were numbered that like they didn't release something. There's something very important here. And it turned out that was Jane Doe number 4's account of what happened. You remember this? The FBI interviewed her like 4 times.
Yeah.
Turns out, I'm not even going to try to set this up. There's a lady on MSNBC. I don't know who she is, but I'm going to let her explain this to you real quick.
Yeah, well, I think it's highly unlikely that he didn't know. It's highly unlikely. I don't have the facts. But we do know that Khan, Epstein's accountant, testified that the Epstein estate settled with Jane Doe number 4, a very important Jane Doe. Jane Doe number 4's files were hidden until Trump bombed Iran and changed the subject. Jane Doe's number 4 files were only found missing because of the Maxwell discovery. And people noticed that Bates stamps, numbers that lawyers use to identify documents, were missing. So we get, finally, right after bombing Iran, we get the Jane Doe number 4 files. Now, lying to the FBI is a crime. Martha Stewart went to jail for it. All people interviewed by the FBI are told that. Jane Doe number 4 alleged to the FBI that Epstein abused her when she was 13 and that Trump abused her when she was 15. Khan, Epstein's accountant, testified that the Epstein estate settled with Jane Doe number 4 for both Epstein and Trump. His lawyer tried to walk that back. Indike refused to confirm or deny that. Now, how do we get to the bottom of that? Congress passes a law invalidating all NDAs from the Trump or the Trump organization, from Epstein, any of his entities, from the estate, or based on any activities at the Epstein properties. Let's have the truth. We want the truth, no NDAs.
So did you catch everything she said there?
Yeah.
While it was actually after Epstein had killed himself, the Epstein estate settled with her. She signed an NDA. That's why she went away. There was 4 interviews and then nothing. Now, she was interviewing with the Trump Justice Department. And then at some point, the Epstein lawyer or accountant or both got a hold of her. Now, how did they know she was talking to the DOJ? I don't know. The Trump Justice Department might have leaked it.
Sure.
But they got a hold of her. They signed a NDA, or she signed an NDA where she can't legally say anything about it.
Mm-hmm.
And they paid her off. They settled with her for both Epstein and Trump, is what the accountant said. It specifically said in the paperwork this was to take care of both of those cases. So the estate of Jeffrey Epstein settled the case on behalf of Donald Trump while he was president.
Yeah.
It's a big deal. That's a huge deal right there. So
how credible is this account?
So this is Epstein's accountant, and when he said it, she said it in the interview, but the lawyer apparently tried to walk it back. And anyhow, I don't know where it ended up there, but the accountant is just there to say the numbers. He's probably trying very hard not to perjure himself. So he's going to be honest.
How do you get rid of NDAs in a trial like that?
So I didn't think there was a way, but from what she said there, don't know if it's true, that Congress could pass some kind of a law saying that any NDA having to do with Epstein or Trump is null and void. That's what she said. I don't know if you can do that or not, but that's what she said.
Yeah, that seems interesting. Huh.
Yeah. So
that seems like it would go to the Supreme Court.
Definitely. So,
yeah.
But the victim that the FBI interviewed 4 times, that was always kind of a red flag. Why did they talk to her 4 times? There must have been something there. Ended up not interviewing a 5th time or taking it any further, because in the middle of all that, she got pulled aside, paid a big amount of money, signed an NDA, goodbye.
How much money?
We have no clue. It's part of the NDA. You can't supposedly, if you sign an NDA, you can't even admit to the existence of an NDA or how much money you got paid. You just can't say anything. So
interesting.
Anyhow, I think we need to figure out more about this. So that's the one new Epstein thing.
Okay.
Now,
interesting.
Before we get into the economy, the real reason we're here tonight is for the economy. There was a big, I'm going to say a landmark trial that's been happening over the last couple of weeks having to do with freedom of speech. Have you seen anything about this?
No.
Okay. Back when we were younger, anybody younger than 30 might not get this at all, but back when we were younger, there was an artist. Artist isn't the right word. Lyrical genius is probably the word I should say.
Okay.
That had a couple hit songs. Colt 45 and 2 Zigzags.
Okay.
Because I Got High.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Do you remember this artist?
Yeah.
You remember what was his name?
Oh,
you remember
what's his name? Oh, I forget his name.
Afroman.
Afroman. That's right. Yes.
All right. Afroman's back in the news. In 2022, by the way, anybody that finds this humorous, the Daily Show, Jordan Klepper did a real good bit on this last night. Back in 2022, Afroman lives out in Ohio in a community. The whole county is less than 0.1% black. So he lives in the widest part of Ohio. He's got seems like a big lot with a gate. The cops raided his property for what? I don't know. They didn't find anything. I think they just assumed they were going to find guns and drugs there. Apparently he had nothing there. So they raided his property when he wasn't home.
Whoa, isn't that illegal?
Well, they had a warrant. Okay.
But don't you have to have a reason to get a warrant?
I haven't seen what their probable cause was. Apparently, for the police to get a probable cause warrant to search a house is not hard to do. And it appears they might have lied to this judge, or Afroman thinks this judge is also corrupt. We'll get to that in a second. Anyhow, so during the raid, and this is very important, they broke his front door, they stole some money from him, and they disconnected his video surveillance system, okay? More egregious than that, there was a lemon pound cake sitting on the counter, and this one cop that was rather large, I'm a big dude, he was a big dude, he kept like leering at the pound cake, like the other surveillance. So Afroman released all the surveillance footage, and this one cop was almost licking his lips, looking at the pound cake on the counter. So Afroman wrote a song and released a music video where he basically calls the guy Officer Pound Cake. He used the surveillance footage from the raid in his music video, so everybody sees who this cop is. They're watching it. That cop apparently got harassed. He says he was harassed, but citizens were sending pound cakes to the police department in his name for him, which seems like a good deal. But he says that was harassment. So that was the first song, I think. By the way, he wrote a whole album about this, and even Kyle Kalinske said yesterday the whole album is bangers. Like it's very catchy stuff. He wrote another. There was one of the cops was a larger white lady, and he wrote a song about her. And in the music video, it's an actress playing this cop, but it's basically her chasing him the whole time and falling down. They're all funny music videos. The song that tickled me the best. And before we get to the song, I'll just tell you, they sued him for like Officer Poundcake sued for that. He said that he slept with one of their wives, and that he sued for that. It was several different things. And there are clips on the internet of the trial. Afroman's judge was very funny because he was like, well, clearly he didn't sleep with your wife, right? And the cop was like, I don't know. Maybe he did. And the cops got, he called one of the cops a son of a bitch. And he was like, well, isn't that an opinion that you would be a son of a bitch? That's not a fact, right? And the officer goes, well, I don't know. My mom's dead, so nobody can know her. He says something like that. They didn't do well in front of the jury. Also, the jury was 100% white. All white jury, all white county. Afroman got found innocent on all charges. Freedom of speech prevails. He actually ended up being like, he was on CNN yesterday, on MSNBC. He was on every news station. In court, he was wearing a white fur like pimp coat and an American flag tuxedo. That's important to know. His one song, remember, they broke his door, they stole his dough, and they disconnected his video. I hope we get to play this on YouTube. Check this song out.
Randy Walters is the son of a bitch. Yeah, that's why I fucked his wife and got filthy rich. Yeah, fix my dough. Stop stealing my dough. Stop disconnecting my video.
The American flag tuxedo is great.
Did you say he was wearing that in court?
Yeah, he was wearing that with a white fur pimp coat, and his hair just. I encourage you to please go on Twitter or something tonight and type in Afroman, and you'll see all the clips of the entire trial. The whole thing was great, and freedom of speech prevailed. Okay, and just a corrupt police department. He got sued by like every cop involved with the search and the judge. He wrote a couple songs about the judge that approved of the warrant as well. And he won. So I love Afroman.
Yeah. Go Afroman. I haven't heard his name in forever.
You know, that's what I somewhat remember when he got raided, because I remember I saw something on TV where he was upset that he got raided by the cops. I didn't know about all the songs he subsequently released. So good on Afroman. Moving on to the economy. First,
an American hero.
He is it. That's what there's some pictures that say like what Republicans want you to think a true patriot looks like, and it's like an ICE officer, and then it's like what a true patriot really looks like, and it's Afroman. It's
okay. Good. I'm glad he's getting the respect that he deserves.
He is. And like I said, I encourage you, try to find all those songs. They're all catchy as hell, I will say. So
yeah, I'll have to listen to the whole album.
So the sentiment is changing, I will say, and it's been going downhill for Trump, but I feel like the Iran war is making things get really bad. First of all, The Economist, which is a right-leaning paper, here's the cover of The Economist this week. Accurate.
He's got his helmet on backwards, covering his eyes.
Operation Blind Fury. So I thought that was interesting. That's a Republican-leaning paper, kind of making fun of Trump for all his decisions here. The second thing, Anne Applebaum, who is a longtime conservative writer, she's written for the Wall Street Journal. She won a Pulitzer Prize. She currently writes for The Atlantic. She had an article that was making the rounds, I think 2 days ago. It says, the title is Everyone But Trump Understands What He's Done by Anne Applebaum. I just felt like this was the most accurate description of Trump ever. Donald Trump does not think strategically, nor does he think historically, geographically, or even rationally. He does not connect actions he takes on one day to events that occur weeks later. He does not think about how his behavior in one place will change the behavior of people in other places. He does not consider the wider implications of his decisions. He does not take responsibility when decisions go wrong. Instead, he acts on a whim and impulse, and when he changes his mind, when he feels new whims and new impulses, he simply lies about whatever he said or did before. I thought that was very, very on the dot, but he doesn't think about how his actions in one spot affect something else. And that's the main thing that I want to talk about tonight. Everything that's happening with the economy right now is either tariff related or Iran related. And people keep pointing at like, oh, well, remember in 2022 under Joe Biden, inflation was this high or gas. Okay, yeah, that had to do with COVID. You wouldn't even try to say that was direct actions done by the Biden administration. That was effects that were happening to the entire world.
No, and you could say that we would have probably been less in a hole when Biden took office if Trump would have handled COVID better.
You could definitely make that argument.
We would have been less in a hole, and Biden did a very good job of actually starting to dig ourselves out of that hole.
We had the best recovery from COVID of any of the civilized nations. We did better than all of Europe. Our inflation never got as high as them. Like overall, nobody wants to hear either way. The economy hurt. Okay, if you were an average American, your pocketbook, your bank account took a beating. Things didn't feel good, but it's true that America handled it better than every other country at that point. Still hurt, and we've said it before, but that's where Biden went wrong. Is instead of kind of telling the country, I feel your pain, we're trying to fix it, his administration was out there saying, actually, we're doing really good. And it's like, nobody wants to hear we're doing really good when things clearly aren't that good.
The American people don't want to be lied to. That's
Exactly.
the problem.
Exactly. Right now, status of the economy. And the economy, we've all talked about it before, like that's the reason that Trump got elected. That's the number one thing. I don't care what anybody says. It's abortion or it's free speech or it's this or that. People vote with their pocketbooks. And I know that you can never say everybody, but the vast majority of voters are going to vote for what's best for their best interest. And the economy is a major factor. I got a clip of your boy, Harry Enton, to start us off on the economy.
I would say that this is the most troublesome sign that I have seen for the President of the United States and the Republican Party so far. What are we talking about? Well, let's take a look here. Voters on Trump and the cost of living. You go back when he was reelected back in October of 2024, he was beating Kamala Harris by 3 points on the cost of living, right? Look at his net approval rating now. Woo! Down underwater we go. His net approval at a record low, 41 points below water. You can't win when you're at 41 points below water on the cost of living. Kamala Harris couldn't win. The Democratic Party couldn't win. And I'm here to tell you that there's a better chance that I root for the New York Yankees than Donald Trump and the Republican Party winning when he's 41 points below water.
This was March 12th to March 16th. We could see even more, gas prices rise and the prices go up in the coming days and weeks with the Iran war. So this number could get even worse. What about independence?
Yeah, what about independence? You think this 41 points below water is bad? Take a look at independence. It's even worse. 60 points underwater when it comes to Trump and the cost of living among independents. Again, a record low. You go back to October of 2024. He was winning on this issue over Kamala Harris by 11 points. Look at that switcheroo. That is a 71-point switcheroo in the wrong direction for Donald Trump when we're coming to the cost of living and independence. And this, my dear friends, is just a political nightmare waiting to happen for the Republican Party come the midterm election.
So he was ranked second to last in U.S. presidents, right?
I thought it was last. Maybe it was second to last.
I think there was one president under him.
Okay.
Do you think he drops that and he's going to be very dead last when it comes to U.S. presidents?
So Trump always has this weird ability to get out of jams. I don't know how, but I think it's all going to come down to how the Iran thing plays out. Because and we're going to talk about Iran in the next episode, but some of the people are saying, like, at this point, gas is going to be over $100 a barrel, or oil is going to be over $100 a barrel for the next 10 years, just based off all the destruction of the refineries over in the Middle East. Like, even if they open up the Strait of Hormuz tomorrow. So anyhow, if Iran continues to go the way it is, if he leaves with the economy just messed up, and it's because of his actions with tariffs and the Iran war, then yeah, he definitely goes to number one. But Trump's gotten out of jams before. He could possibly pull a rabbit out of his hat here. I don't know how, but he might.
I mean, yeah, you go back to he doesn't think about how this affects. He does one thing, but he doesn't think about how it affects other things. He just destroyed like the world economy is cratering right now.
And
all because we wanted to go to Iran for there's really no reason besides Israel wanted this.
There wasn't an imminent reason, and he keeps saying there was an imminent threat. Like Iran was a bad country. Like to say there's no reason to deal with Iran, I disagree with that. Like Iran was a bad country. They sponsor terrorists. Their leader said death to America. I get all that. Okay. Also, as I said, when it looked like we were going to go to war with Iran, remember what I said? I said we need to have a real, honest conversation with America here about what's going to happen if we do this war, because it's not going to be a quick Venezuela thing. Like gas prices are going to go up, inflation's going to go up. If we weigh all that out and America still says, hey, we're willing to do this okay, cool. But we didn't start this with an open, honest communication. We said, oh, this is going to be over in 3 days. And all the reporting recently is that Trump thought Iran was going to be over in 3 days. So he thought we were going to take out the leader and they would fall apart. And yeah, like I said, Iran's for next time, but he's doing this to us. Like this isn't forces outside of his control.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, he could have. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's no imminent threat. They had no nukes. They were willing to negotiate. And he just ignored all that and went ahead and bombed them because Israel wanted this. This is the only reason.
Yep. I got some good Israel stuff for you in the next episode too. I'm going to leave you hanging there.
That's right. We're doing 2 separate episodes.
Yes.
Oh, like and subscribe. Peace, love, like and subscribe.
Yeah. So this is a one-off. This is anecdotal. This is one voter, but I saw the funniest clip of a Trump voter ever. It's a quick clip, but enjoy. This is in Pennsylvania, and they were doing a man on the street thing, trying to find Trump voters and see how they are feeling about Trump now. This lady's awesome.
Trump. Let's take a listen to one more woman who we spoke with. If you could say something to President Trump and he was going to hear you right now, what would it be?
You are a worthless pile of
And you voted for him how many times?
3 times. That was my bad. Apparently, I'm an idiot.
That looked AI.
No, so that was real. That was 100% real. And now
I'm an idiot.
Here's the thing. That's anecdotal. That's not all Trump voters. I will say two buddies of mine that are Trump voters recently have jumped off the bandwagon totally. So I'm not saying that means anything for the greater. CNN put out a poll the other day that said 100% of MAGA, like if you identify as MAGA, 100% of them still are fans of Trump. They still support him. He has 100% approval rating for MAGA. The problem is MAGA is like less than 30% of the country. To win, you need to have a coalition. And Trump's coalition last time had to do with Epstein and Maha. I would say he's lost all the Epstein people. I don't know what percentage that was, but it was a decent percentage. And then Maha, I think, is kind of 50-50 right now. I think there's some that are choosing to still have faith. Some are jumping off ship. Either way, Republicans do not have the coalition that got him elected in 2024. So that's all I'm saying. Also, we just talked about Biden basically lying to us and trying to tell us that we weren't feeling what we were really feeling. The Trump administration's handling it a little bit differently. Okay. They're not saying that they don't care how they're not lying to us and telling us that we should be feeling good. They're flat out saying that we're not a part of the economy that they're looking at. They're not really worried about us. Watch this from Kevin Hassett real quick, and I want you to pay attention to exactly what he says.
But the fact is that the U.S. economy is fundamentally sound, and that if it were to be extended, it wouldn't really disrupt the U.S. economy very much at all. It would hurt consumers, and we'd have to think about, if that continued, what we would have to do about that. But that's like really the last of our concerns right now, because we're very confident that this thing is going ahead of schedule.
I hate that guy.
So he always smiles as he delivers bad news, but he said it's not hurting the economy. The economy is in good shape. What you need to understand there is when he says economy, he means stock market. Okay, that's what he means.
The stock market has been down over the last week.
Stock market's at like 45 now, by the way. But that interview was a couple days ago. But he said, we're not worried about the economy. The economy is doing great. Now, this is going to hurt the consumers, is what he said. The consumers are 80% of us. It's the bottom 80%. are the consumers in this economy. The top 20% are driving this economy. Flat out said,
Hmm.
we're not worried about the economy, stock market, because it's doing great. Now, this is going to hurt the consumers, but really, that's the last of our priorities. They don't give a fuck about us. Like,
That's right. But
I,
we drive everything else. They're not thinking about that.
yeah, well,
Is he an economist?
yeah,
He's an idiot.
yeah, he is.
Like
Well, and
I know economics better than that guy at
I
this
don't,
point.
I don't know if you've seen the charts recently, but I've seen several of them where like it's like 70% of spending in the economy right now is being done by like the top 10 or 20%. Have you
Yeah.
seen all that? So
Oh, I mean, it's been like that.
it's getting worse like monthly.
Yeah,
But
it's called the wealth gap.
what he's saying right there is we're only worried about that top 10 or 20% because they're the ones doing all the spending. The other ones, they're not really contributing to the economy, so we don't care about them. That's kind of what he just said. So
Okay, let's
yeah.
let's see. If you get rid of the bottom 80% or 30%, no wait, what is it? 70%.
Yeah.
Yeah, 80 yeah, 70, 80%. Then everybody's out. There's no apartment, like they can't afford to have an apartment. So then that money doesn't trickle up. There's no money trickling up.
There
So then it flatlines out and they're just selling stuff to each other and then it divides again, which will create another wealth gap.
what you're saying is 100% correct.
Mhm.
And the problem is they got too greedy. Like for forever, the billionaires realized that you had to let the lower class and the middle class do just good enough to keep everything going along.
Yeah.
And like this new class, when Trump got elected, like all the billionaires that showed up at his inauguration, like they got too greedy. They tried to do too much. And I don't think they see the writing on the wall right now.
Well, it wasn't just then. They got more greedy. They
Mm.
saw an opportunity when Trump got elected. But it's been slowly happening since like
Oh,
the 60s,
it's been no, so it's since the 80s.
70s.
The Reagan tax cuts. Reagan was the first person to do this trickle down economics.
Yeah.
Let's give the big tax cut to the rich, and it'll trickle down. It's never worked. Since the 80s, the wealth gap has gotten ridiculous. And you're right, it has been steadily happening. What I'm saying is that in January of 2025, when Trump got elected, like it's like a switch went off and it accelerated at that point. And
Well, we've covered this before. We've already gone through this, and this is what caused the Great Depression, right? Who was it? McKinley? McKinley came in, he did tariffs,
mm,
big time tariffs, and he also gave, let's see, was it just the tariffs or was it something else? Did he give tax cuts to the wealthy?
so the
And
tariffs,
that's when like the Rothschilds and
yeah.
all these big names came up and like built this giant amount of wealth, like the Elon Musk of today. And then we went through that huge Great Depression because the wealth gap was just
Yeah.
you couldn't fix it.
I
There
think
was
you're
a point of
most
no return.
I think you're mostly right, but I'm not confident enough to. I think I'll say this: the Rothschilds have had money since like the 1700s, so they were already super wealthy. But
Okay.
there was a lot of factors in the 20s that contributed to it. The tariffs were a part of it. Everything that got put in place to fix the Great Depression is what Republicans have slowly been trying to dismantle ever since.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. I mean, what caused the Great Depression? Um, the Great Depression, 1929 to 1939, so it was a 10 years of depression, was caused by a combination of factors, primarily the 1929 stock market crash, widespread bank failures, reducing purchasing, and severe international trade. But yeah, that was kind of the cause, or
yeah,
the effect. What was the cause? I don't know. We'll have to look
yeah,
into this.
yeah.
We
Like I
need
said,
to get an economist on.
I'm
Do you know
definitely
any
not.
economists?
I normally like if I don't feel confident enough, I'm not even going to try to bullshit you. I don't know what led to it totally. So,
Yeah.
but real quick, the Harry Anton clip and the Pennsylvania voter, that lady that was so sweet, and Kevin Hassett, all three of those things happened earlier. I'm going to say late beginning of last week. Since then, we had new inflation data come out. Have you seen anything on this?
Mm, no, I don't think I
Okay.
have. I was thinking of something else, and I don't think I have seen the
Yeah. The,
inflation
the
yet.
the new jobs report came out about a week ago, and it was
Yeah,
god awful.
it's zero, right?
Yeah.
We had zero growth. Yeah,
Yep.
yeah, that's
So
what I saw.
so now inflation came out, and now mind you, this is inflation for last month. This is before Iran or the gas or anything like that. So I like to let Fox deliver our inflation news when I can. Here is Fox Business for you.
I'm really, really not happy about this inflation report.
All right.
And I know it's one data point. The Fed looks through it. We try to look at 2 or 3 month trends, but this does not look good to me. And I don't like sitting here after everything we're talking about and saying, oh, well, okay, but it's just 1 month, because unfortunately March is guaranteed 95% chance to get worse than what we saw. So core goods prices are up by 0.3%. You're up 4.3% year over year. That's just core goods prices. Services inflation was up 0.6% in December, 0.8% in January, 0.5% in February. It's going down, but it's still increasing overall. Year over year, we're up 3.8% year over year. What I don't like is that prices rose in food, alcohol, investment in vice securities, which we could talk about, fuels, trucking, inpatient care. Now, they fell for apparel and footwear, but they're rising, and I just don't like it. Fresh and dry vegetables were up 49%. So there's something going on. Maybe it's a one-off that we could debate, but I don't like the trend, and I don't like that we're going to sit here and think that March is going to get worse.
Well, I agree.
Pretty bad. So when Biden left, inflation was like 2.8. We'll round up to 3. We'll just call it 3. But it was heading down. It was steadily going down his last couple months. I think it was 2.8. She just said core goods was, what'd she say, 4.3? And core goods is normally less than what the actual inflation rate is. So just bad all around. I mean, year to year was 3.3, so 3.3% higher than February of last year. And then you tack onto all that the fact that the war started right after that period. Sorry, the special military operation.
Oh, this isn't even including the war?
No, this was through February. Okay.
Oh, wow.
So none of March is involved in that. So now you have gas prices, which energy costs up, about $1 is where we're at right now. Everything gets shipped by diesel, and diesel is up.
That's a 25% increase. That's like a 33% increase.
Yeah.
In gas prices.
So,
whoa.
Liquid natural gas. So if you use gas to heat your home or anything like that, that's up. So it's gonna, that's why she was freaking out so bad, because it's bad, and it's been getting worse the last 5 or 6 months, and now we're heading into March, which we know when we get March's numbers, it's gonna be bad. The scariest part is they keep saying for every day that this excursion with Iran goes on, it's going to take a month to bring everything back to normal. So every additional day equals 1 month of recovery.
And, we'll talk about it in the next one. But
yeah,
the amount that's costing is insane. How did we know that Trump was going to fuck up this bad? Like, we both knew this, and we were both talking about this for a year before he got elected for the second time, how bad it was going to be. And I guess we didn't know exactly what was going to happen. And
I'd say this is worse than I thought it was. I thought he was going to mess it up, but not this bad.
Yeah. I think maybe that's right.
Hey, who could have predicted he would do roughly? It's going to be about a decade until gas prices come back down to where they are. Like, that's ridiculous. And nobody saw that coming. But one of my buddies, one of the ones that is now off the Trump bandwagon, he keeps kind of asking me, he's like, well, how did you know that he was going to be so bad with the economy? And I told him at the time, and I've told him ever since, like, if you just listen to what he said, if you believed what he said, he's going to do 15% across the board tariffs right there. That's a problem for the economy. He's going to do mass deportations. That's going to hurt the economy. Like, just those two things alone led me to believe things aren't going to go that well. I didn't think he would also do Iran. Like, that's a whole, that adds a layer to it.
Not to mention, he's never ran a successful business.
No.
Until he became president.
It's about true. And at least we're taking care of the national debt. Remember, that was his big promise, is we're not going to run any more deficits. We're not going to add to the debt. We're going to pay down the deficit. Remember that?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, get this.
Oh, God.
So
I knew it was bad. I haven't heard the numbers yet.
Yeah,
I'm bracing myself.
Get ready. This is from Time. Since the president's inauguration last year, the national debt has climbed by about $2.8 trillion. The national debt hit 37 trillion in August, then 38 trillion in October, and just hit 39 trillion in March. So we're going up a trillion every 5 to 6 months since he took office.
Holy.
Now, I was told by many reliable people that Republicans cared about debt and deficits. You remember hearing that?
I've heard that all my life, Andy.
Well, I don't think they do anymore because I don't think we're going to hear anybody complain. And now they're going to say, well, we're at war. Obviously, when we're at war, then, that's going to be their excuse. And I've about had it.
What did like Raytheon, what is their stock doing right now? Is it just climbing?
I got to believe it's good.
I mean, these war machines, no, it went down.
Okay.
RTX Corp went down 1.28 today. Lockheed stock today. Let's see. Yeah, it went down 1.58. So even the military industrial complex stock market doesn't thrive under these conditions. And it's probably because the gas and the oil are so high that they're having to pay because they're using a lot of plastics and they're using a lot of oil and gas to build and manufacture this stuff. So I'm guessing nobody does well.
Well, that's one thing that I didn't even think about until I saw I think somebody tweeted it. But when I hear oil prices have gone up, my mind is like, oh, gas prices. Well, a lot of products are oil based. Like we don't know. It's one of those where it's going to take a while to figure out what all sectors this is going to hit, but it's going to hit them all. And then also, like I said, even if it's not made of oil, how do you think it gets transported to and from the store? Like from the manufacturer to the store, it's riding on a train or it's riding in a diesel truck. Either way, the price is going up. So,
yeah.
And Trump said again today, he was talking to reporters in front of the helicopter, and he was like, "Oh, the economy's doing great. The Dow just hit 50,000, and the S&P hit 8,000. Blah blah blah. The Dow right now is sitting at 45.5. It lost
Wait, did he say that today?
He said that today that the Dow just hit 50,000. That was 3 or 4 weeks ago. That's probably 4 weeks ago now. And it's gone downhill ever since Pam Bondi did her the Dow is at 50,000. It has done nothing but go down. It's lost 4,500 points since she said that. The very next day, it dipped back below 5,000 and has been headed downhill ever since. So,
yeah.
Anyhow.
And they're going to ride that till the midterms.
One thing that was interesting is today, like the last 3 hours of trading today, it lost like an additional 400. And a lot of people are speculating is every Friday after the market closes, that's when Trump does some new thing to Iran to instigate. And he's strategic. He always waits till the market closes to do it. And then we have 2 days for everybody to calm down before trading opens back up. Supposedly, people are saying that the market has figured him out. So people were doing like a preemptive sell-off today, expecting he was going to do something big and dumb tonight. Which the big dumb thing we did a couple weeks ago, I don't know if you saw this, but Israel hit another one of Iran's, I think it was a liquid natural gas plant. So Iran hit like 9 different countries' plants all in one night. The one in Qatar, they said, is going to take 10 years and like $12 billion to rebuild.
This is so fucking dumb that we just destroy the entire world's ability to thrive. Like we could all really be thriving and succeeding. The entire world could if we could just set our differences aside and work towards like prosperity for all.
Every episode we have to get in a part where you're like, I don't get why we can't just all get along.
This is so stupid. We can get all along. I can get along with
nearly
anybody.
You made it almost to the end of this episode before saying it. But you're right. Why can't we all get along? I don't know. There's a lot of reasons. It's not realistic. Throughout the history of mankind, there's always groups fighting. You should expect that to continue for a while.
Has it always been just dumbasses like Donald Trump and Netanyahu putting shit together, trying to take over other people's property and land?
I can't remember who it was. Somebody recently, comedian, was saying that every war is basically a dick measuring contest. It's about ego and it's about trying to prove that you're more of a man than the other guy. And that's what most of our wars trace back to, either religious or dick measuring contest. It's one or the other.
We have this eugenics thing. Like we could do eugenics on like people who have those traits.
Like, like to basically get them out of the gene pool?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, yeah. We
I
just we circumcise all of the like dick measuring guys
so
so that nobody really wants to rise to power. Anybody who wants to be the leader gets cut out of the situation.
it's a good idea, but unfortunately, the exact opposite is happening in real life. Like,
Yeah,
so Epstein had a whole thing about eugenics, and that he apparently there's a lot of Epstein children running around that we know nothing about.
yeah.
Elon is famously trying to get as many offspring as he can.
He's got like
Uh,
20 kids, doesn't he?
yeah, all these billionaires, we have no clue how many kids. Like, we found out about a couple in the past year or so. There's that one girl, Ashley St. Clair, who's like a conservative influencer, that
Hmm.
she basically went public and was like, "Yeah, I have a son that is Elon's son, and he paid me $1 million plus a monthly fee or whatever." And she basically turned on him. That was news.
Oh, that's
But
awesome.
who knows how many other ones there are? And I can't think of specifics, but I've heard of all these other billionaires doing the same kind of thing. So they're trying to populate the earth with their offspring because they think that they're genetically superior to everybody else.
Oh, did you know Peter Thiel's gay?
Yeah,
I didn't know that. Okay.
yeah, he is.
Okay. I was just
So
looking up how they have two children, but it says and his husband. So,
he's probably also like donating sperm left and right. Like they truly,
oh,
in their
yeah.
mind, the world would be better if there were more geniuses like them running around. So they need to outbreed the dumb people. They've probably seen idiocracy too many times and they're trying to get ahead of it.
Yeah. Hmm.
So, anyhow, like I said, you had a good idea, but the opposite is happening in reality.
I feel like we should just breed like the yoga people, the monks. We take the monks and we just breed them and we
Give peace a
the monks
chance.
in the yoga retreat crowd.
I like that. Um, I will tell you, as the economy is going south, never fear. Our government has a plan. Okay,
Oh God.
Scott Bessent, when it comes to money, this guy he knows what he's doing. Right now, oil prices are getting too high. What can you do when oil prices are getting too high? Let's let Scott Bessent tell us what's going on here.
Effort. We had a break the glass plan across the administration and at Treasury. We unsanctioned Russian oil. We knew that there were about 130 million barrels on the water, and we created supply that is beyond the Straits of Hormuz. So we anticipated this. We knew that there could be a temporary, and I want to emphasize temporary, choke point there. And there was 130 million barrels of floating storage. In the coming days, we may unsanction the Iranian oil that's on the water. It's about 140 million barrels. So depending on how you count it, that's 10 days to 2 weeks of supply that the Iranians had been pushing out. That would have all gone to China. In essence, we will be using the Iranian barrels against the Iranians to keep the price down for the next 10 or 14 days as we continue this campaign.
Couple things. So there's a lot to say about this. First of all, if you add up all the Russian oil that we just took sanctions off of with the Iranian oil that we're taking sanctions off of, that really equals 3 days of the normal oil that would flow through the Strait of Hormuz. So that's 3 days worth of supply. He said 10 to 14. Nobody knows where he got that number. That's not realistic. But I think you probably already heard this. We took the sanctions off the Russian oil, which that's just now going to help them fund their war against Ukraine. But now we're going to take the sanctions off Iran's oil while we bomb them. And he tried to spin it like, oh, we're going to use their own oil against them. No, now they can sell their oil on the free market. Like, this is a benefit, but they kind of have to do it because the American people are going to lose their shit if gas keeps going up. So they're trying to
Not
do
only
whatever
the
they can.
American people, but the entire world
Oh yeah,
is having problems.
the
Did
rest of the
Japan just Oh wait, we're going to talk about the war next.
yeah. Well, I'll say that the rest of the world, not the rest, but certain countries, Japan and South Korea being two of them, are getting hit harder than us. Like we're actually skating through this somewhat well compared to other countries. So anyhow. I love the idea that while attacking Iran, we're removing their sanctions on oil.
It is sanctions that have been around for like 45 years or
Yeah,
something.
47, I think. Yeah.
47. It's
Yeah.
crazy. Yeah. Because we bombed them so much so that they closed down Hormuz.
Yep.
So then it made our people mad. So then they had to lift the 47-year sanctions on their oil so that they could sell oil to make more money so they could build more bombs,
Exactly.
only making our wartime effort harder.
Yes.
These people have no strategic like mentality whatsoever. I'm pretty sure Scott Bissett has no idea how the economy works.
Well, it goes back to the Ann Applebottom story that I read at the beginning, where they don't take into account how one action affects another. And
Yeah.
it's like, okay, let's bomb Iran. Oh, crap, we bombed Iran. Now oil prices are going up. What do we do? Ooh, let's take off the Iranian sanctions on oil. What?
Oh,
It's depressing.
this is like so depressing. I can't believe we're living in this time where I can't believe we have such fucking morons running our country.
Yeah.
And it's not just one moron. It's a whole slew of fucking idiots.
Well,
And honestly, idiot is not probably not proper. They're probably doing this in their own interest. They're
yeah.
probably a little bit smarter than we give them credit for, and they're just doing this in their own interest because they're going to make more money. They don't give a fuck if Joe Schmo and Sally Sue can feed their child as long as they have an extra 100 million in the bank.
I think you're right on like half of it. I think half of the things that happen were like, why would they do this? And they're doing it to help their billionaire buddies. I think there's half of it going on right now that they truly seem like I mentioned it earlier, but there was a story. It was in like the Wall Street Journal or one of those papers, and it seemed to be sourced pretty well. And Trump put all of his eggs in the basket of thinking that basically we're going to defeat them before they could possibly even close the Strait of Hormuz. Like we're going to take out their leader. The people are going to do an uprising. Like this will be over before they can close the strait. Like he truly believed that. And they didn't really have a backup plan for what happens if that goes wrong. Like that's what it seems like happened here. So part of it's because Venezuela went so well. Like he saw how easy Venezuela was, and he was like, "Oh, this will be great. We're gonna take out their leader and like the top 30 guys in their government, and chaos will ensue. The people will rise up, and everything will be fine." And turns out that didn't happen.
Are we just relying on Israel to give us Middle East intelligence? Because they would
So
probably like trick him into that and say, hey, like you did Venezuela so well, Iran's going to be a
so
cakewalk.
So the answer is yes, but also like that's not a Trump thing. Like since the 70s or 80s, like we've done that.
Yeah.
And I will say, in a lot of cases, Israel has their ear to the ground way better than we do in the Middle East. Like Israel has spies. Apparently, there were Israeli spies in like the Iranian government, and that's who tipped off. None of this is confirmed, but they knew where all like the top 30 people in the government were going to be meeting one morning because somebody in the government was a Mossad spy. They have spies in all those countries, and
Jeffrey Epstein.
yeah, here's the thing. When this, I'm going to try to say this in a way that's not going to get me in trouble. In general, would you agree that it would be harder for us to stick an American undercover in Iran posing as an Iranian than it would a Israeli Jew
Not if it
to do
was
the
an
same?
Iranian American.
Well, apparently we deported all those though. Trump deported all those back in the last year. We don't
Hmm.
have any more Iranian Americans. So, anyhow, I leave you with this last little bit.
Okay.
Trump's on the case, okay? The
Okay.
economy's bad. He's juggling a lot right now. He's got the Epstein stuff. There's still the shutdown of DHS, which we're not talking about. Security lines are out the wazoo and all the airports.
Oh yeah.
Trump's still looking out for number one, and I don't mean America. I mean himself and his bank
Yes.
account. I saw this, and this was just too good. In the middle of all this, Trump's still trying to rip off his supporters.
Oh, rare Trump sneaker listed for 180K at SneakerCon. Who are those? Are he selling them or what?
Yeah, those are the Trump Force ones, and this is a limited edition Trump Force one. And there's a sneaker convention in Riyadh, which is Saudi Arabia, and
Oh,
they haven't said how many they have in stock. It's not just one; they have some, but you better hurry up and buy them because there's a limited stock, and they're $180,000 a piece.
oh my gosh. Did you see he used him in his ball cap at the what was it?
The
The return of the bodies. I
the
forget the call.
dignified transfer of remains.
Dignified transfer remains. He used that to get more money from people, as an advertising to get more money from people.
As a fundraiser, yeah.
Fundraising
Yeah.
campaign, or yeah.
And that was the first one when he was wearing the cap. Now the second one, he did not wear a ball cap too, and apparently it was the 6 Air Force troops that were in the tanker plane that crashed over Iraq.
Mm-hmm.
And the families all got together and asked the White House, please, no pictures or video from this. This is a sad thing for us. We don't want cameras. Just let us get through this. And then Trump still released photos of him standing there saluting over the caskets, and tried to use those as fundraisers as well. And the family was apparently upset about that. There are a couple of the families. Who knows if all 6 were? A couple of the families specifically.
What a shady fuck. Jesus Christ.
Yep. So anyhow, that's the state of our economy. It makes you feel good. It's only going to get worse. Like that's the part I can't stress is right now things seem bad. Like if tomorrow Trump ended the Iran stuff and the tariffs, if he backed off on all of it tomorrow, we're looking at months to a year of trying to recover from this. And that's just to get back to somewhat good. Like I said, when it comes to oil prices, you're looking at multiple years, like probably closer to 10 years till oil is back to where it was. Pretty awesome, huh? So,
all for what?
For Israel. That's the reality of it.
For Israel.
Yep. So,
I'm very disappointed in our country.
I'll leave you with that, sir. Have a good night, and I'll be talking to you soon.
Peace, love, like and subscribe. Like and subscribe.
Sometimes you eat the bar, sometimes the bar eats you.